We're in Park City, Utah for the second Viessmann World Cup weekend of the season. They call this place the greatest snow on earth, and winter arrived with a bang last Friday. From temperatures in the high 60s, t-shirt weather, the snowstorm brought winter in a hurry. Well, that was perfect timing for the FIVT's World Cup Tour as we travelled across the United States from northern East Coast, New York State, to close to the foothills of the Rockies. We're in the Wasatch Mountains in Utah, the second leg of our North American swing. Let's take a look at the action then from the first heat of the women's skeleton race. Third place in the first heat went to the first slider off the top of the hill today, and that is Great Britain's Shelley Rudman. Well, I'm joined in the booth by Olympic champion John Montgomery. John, really close to the top of this women's field.
They are packed in there tight like a can of sardines, and it's going to be a little bit of leapfrogging going on here, I believe, in the second run. We're in for some action, we're in for some position changes, and it's going to be an exciting second heat.
Well, Shelley Rudman lies third, 1900ths of a second off the lead. Katie Eulander, 1200ths off the lead, the reigning women's skeleton world champion. Well, John, it seemed nobody had a clean run.
There were elements that I'm sure each athlete's going to want to improve upon for their second run down the track to make sure that they maintain their position. And there always is in skeleton racing. You're never, ever completely perfect.
Well, great start and a great slide from young Lizzie Yarnell, bronze medalist in Lake Placid in the World Championships. She's also the reigning junior world champion, and a girl who, it seems, just enjoys her sliding, and it rewards her with it.
How could you not enjoy sliding? She has, since she showed up on the World Cup Tour, done well. And doing well puts a smile on anybody's face.
Well, there is your leaderboard. 1200ths first to second, 1900ths cover the top two. But anyone inside 3/10 off the lead is a definite medal contender. Our fast 20 from the first heat go through into heat two, and they will go in reverse order. Well, the air temperature hovering around 6 degrees above zero. Ice down at -3. The control still, John. Now, that is a runner that hangs up at the start against which your race runners are measured. And you've only got a fine tolerance in temperature.
They do. Back in the old days, fellows would show up after having blowtorched their runners and melt the start groove to nothing. And so to, prevent cheating, they make sure that there's a control runner and everybody's runners are the same temperature.
And the ice has been quick today as well. Well, we get into the second heat with Russia's Olga Polytsina, and she lies some way off the race lead, 6 seconds back. And Sarah Reed, we talked about this in the break, 0-0. Last weekend, race winner. This weekend, just makes the cut.
She does, and she won't hang on to that yellow bib, unfortunately, today. But I know for a fact that she'll walk away from this Park City track knowing that today wasn't a good race and that she can definitely get back to that podium position where she was last week.
Well, Lizzie Yarnell will go last. First up on the ice is Olga Polytsina of Russia. 22-year-old from Moscow. Big Formula One fan. So she will be rushing back to see the action from Austin, Texas this weekend.
She's got more pressing issues on her mind right now, like laying down a good start here, linking up these few really delicate corners at the top of the track and trying to maintain as much energy as possible.
First start 5:19, 5:11. That's much more on the case, John, but you've got to look at the Russian program and say they need more speed.
They do, and they've got some young, good, talented athletes in here. On the female side, the men, though, they're out of sight as far as their competitive starts are concerned. Ooh, bit of a bump into the entrance of corner 7. Going to struggle a little bit through here the labyrinth, which is a left-right combination. Every track has one. And they're really important to be able to link up entrances and exits. Oh, big hit at the entrance of 12. She will bleed speed. And another run that she's going to want to toss, as you might say back in the UK, the rubbish bin.
Yeah. She was 2 kilometers an hour down in terms of top speed even before she got to corner 6. And hemorrhaged a lot more time on the way down. 51.26. Well, it's quicker than her first run, 51.32. May well find that is a reflection of the track rather than the performer.
Well, she was quite a bit faster at the start, and you might see that as a trend here in the second heat, the athletes being a little bit quicker. We saw a 4.98 from Donna Creighton, and she may just be able to lay down a low 90s here on the second run.
As you say, not a run perhaps that Olga will look back on fondly.
Not at all. Big hit here before 12. And what happens when you hit before an entrance like that? It pushes you low, and essentially you're entering late. The pressure spikes, takes you to the top of the roof, and then ultimately you come way down and have a big second pressure as well. So it can be a bit scary.
Yeah.
Exasperation definitely written all over Olga's face.
You don't need much translation of that Russian body language, do you?
No, I think that's pretty universal.
Now you can see Canadian skeleton and bobsleigh team up there at the top.
There's my wolf
Sarah
pack.
Reid. Yeah.
Cheering on Sarah here. Hopefully she has a better second run.
She had a great start, 5.04. There's no question that she's got a great getaway. That's what she can produce here. 5.04 again. Now she's just got to avoid those walls.
Consistency on the push. Looks like she's doing really well at the top of the track here. That's where she messed up on her first run. She had a bit of a skid into the entrance of 4, and she had definitely a better entrance to 5 there, but a little bit squirrely. Going through 6 better, letting it go. Missed the entrance of 7 like she did last time. She hit the entrance of 7, and she is definitely going to be piecing together a better run here.
2 kilometers an hour quicker, nearly a full mile an hour faster than she was at this stage on the previous run.
This is the run that she was looking for the first time down the track. She has a really great opportunity to pick up some runs here. She's probably going to hit out of 14. Manages to stay off that wall. Really nice navigation in the last couple of corners, and this is what she was looking for on her first descent.
There you go, 50.72 to a 51.3. That's getting on for 3/4 of a second better. That is a light year.
Oh, that's massive improvements. And you know what? We're going to see Sarah standing in the leader's box for a few sliders to come here yet. That's going to be a tough one to match for the rest of the field here.
Unfortunately, one of those odd training runs crept into a first competitive slide.
Did indeed.
Well, she looks a little happier with that. And you know, and the great thing about having won the season opener is that she's got the confidence that one loose run's not going to trip her up.
No, she's going to go into Whistler next week with that boatload of confidence, knowing that she's on her home track and that she can bring it back together and really have another solid performance. And you're going to see her move up the rankings here. Big of high pressure there in entrance of 14. They want to keep that a little bit lower, but obviously she did enough work within the corner to stay off that right wall coming out of 14 and up the straightaway.
Well, that was a great looking run. If she'd had that 50.72 in the first heat, she'd have been in the top 8. Next up, Joske Leconte of the Netherlands. 18th position after the first heat, and she was only 200ths in front of Sarah Reid.
Joske's got a monumental task in front of her to try to hang on to that position that she currently has over Sarah Reid.
5.13 first heat, 5.13 second heat.
The Vegas odds are not going to be on Joske's side. A little bit of a late entrance into 5 there. You're going to see her get pushed off the corner, have her struggle to get back to the entrance of 6 early enough. Really driving the sled through the corner there. She'd be well advised if her coaches tell her to come back next year to ease up through that section.
Well, that's one of the great things about skeleton is you can hear the steering.
And here especially, like I mentioned earlier, they've got a tool that has small slits in the blade, and it creates a ridge in the middle. It creates increased speed because of less runner contact with the ice, but it also makes for a really distinct sound as the athletes drag their helmets and their toes across that ridged surface. It's almost like corduroy in those corners.
51.38. That's a 1/10 of a second slower than her first heat time, so that drops her down definitely behind Sarah Reid and behind Olga Politsina of Russia. So she will, at the moment, round out the top 20.
Right here, exit of corner 4. She's dragging her toe in order to keep the sled low. She wants a low profile on the exit of corner 4 so that she doesn't hit before 5. She wasn't successful necessarily, but you will see the athletes drag their toes, and that might have been actually, the exit of corner 11 and hitting before 12. But that's the idea, is to sometimes drag a toe in order to keep the sled low.
Sarah Reid remains in the leader's box. I think we might need to put a smaller monitor in for the women's race in future, because she is there, but we can't see her. Now, Melissa Hall making her World Cup debut for the season. Didn't slide in Lake Placid. She makes her debut here. As you say, now based in San Jose, California. And coach Eric Benotas with the sled at the top.
Not the fastest starter, but like we mentioned earlier, she is a great driver, and she's got the perfect form. Small shoulders, and she really keeps them down, and she stays in good position, coming into corner 2 perfectly.
Well, there's a definite body type that works well on skeleton, and shoulders is something you talk about. You know, if you've got massive wide shoulders, you're better suited for a bobsled, because you've got to cleave the air with as small a frontal area as possible.
You do, and when you're leading with your bucket down the track, as we do in skeleton racing, you're creating a tunnel for the rest of your body to slip through. And the bigger your shoulders are, the less chance they have of slipping through that tunnel of air that you create with your leading edge, which is your helmet. Hit at the entrance of 12 there, going to send her for a little bit of a loop. You can hear the fans cheering. When those sleds are going by at breakneck speeds, it is really exciting for the fans to be standing there watching how fast these athletes actually descend the track.
Well, at corner 4, they're doing 52 miles an hour. By corner 6, they're doing 77, 78 miles an hour. It's an insane speed on this track, and 80 miles an hour at the bottom for Melissa Hall. She hangs on in second place, just a couple of hundreds behind our leader, Sarah Reid of Canada.
Might have to get Sarah a lawn chair. I think she might be in that leader's box for a wee bit here.
She needs one of those recliners that they have around the Lake Placid track. Well, there's Melissa Hall of Australia. Yep. I'm Martin Haven. Sitting alongside me is Olympic champion John Montgomery. Second World Cup race of the season. We'll take a look again at Melissa's form here.
Waving through corner 6 there a little bit. Managed to stay off the entrance of 7, but not by keeping her sled parallel and straight. And that's crucial leading into this labyrinth section. Les combinaciones. That may be Spanish. I don't think so. I might have just really brutalized that word. But it's a combination of left and rights, which you really have to be technically sound. Small, subtle movements will get you on and off that corner, losing as much energy, or as little energy as possible, leading into the next tough corner, which is corner 11.
Next up, the fastest starter in the first heat, Donna Crichton of Great Britain.
She is a monster starter, and I hope we see a low 9-second start here.
4:98 first heat. What does she have in the tank? 4:95, a hundredth off the start record set by Annie O'Shea, November 2010.
That's blistering. And that really gives somebody a huge advantage at this Park City, Utah track, because you can only create so much energy here, and it's really tough to lose it at the top of the track because there's not really a lot of technical corners.
Well, to quote Woody from Toy Story, it's falling with style, right?
It is indeed. Falling gracefully, and she's got almost 0.3 of a second in the bank. Small skid between 10 and 11 there. Definitely steering hard. You can see her legs separate as she digs her toe into the ice to keep herself off the wall. And I don't know if she's got enough momentum and energy to stay on the leader position. 500s, she's not going to do it. She's going to fall behind Sarah here towards the end of the track.
Uphill through the finish line. Dead heat. Wow. Well, we just talked before we came on air. How do you make a small fortune betting on skeleton races? You start with a large one. And when the Olympic champion is finding it hard to read, it's tough to follow, folks.
Indeed. You know that she was definitely going to be losing time to her towards the bottom of the track. Sarah did really well by maintaining her energy through 11 and 12 there. And you can see Donna struggling really hard to keep that sled low at 11 by digging her toe into the ice. Legs separated there, and obviously bled some speed because she dropped 4/10 nearly from the midway point to the bottom of the track.
Well, you just look at the start. That has got to be the single most difficult way of sprinting that man could imagine.
Oh, man, it is cockeyed. Running bent over as fast as you can go before diving headfirst onto a cafeteria tray with rails to defend a frozen toilet chute at breakneck speeds. That is oddball, brother.
You're selling it so well. So we have a tie for the lead and 15 sleds yet to come. Lelda Priedjelena of Latvia next up. Off the 11th fastest start, she drove herself into 15th position and only has 5 World Cup races previously in her career.
Didn't run very far over the crest. The idea is to get as far down over the crest as you can possibly go while not slowing yourself down. And that's the magic point of knowing when to load onto your sled. As soon as you stop generating foot speed, you've got to get on because your sled will actually accelerate faster than what you can push it. She's struggling at the top of the track here, bumping some walls. She's definitely going to lose that 600ths of a lead that she's presently got and fall behind both Donna and Sarah towards the bottom of the track here. Already in a dead heat.
She was almost 0.3 of a second quicker than Sarah Reid on the first run, but Sarah's throwaway first run has been overturned by a great second heat. Looks like it's going the other way, so the second run is not as good as the first. Well, John, what about the changes to the track? How much can you anticipate those?
Any given day is different. What the weather throws at you as far as whether it starts snowing at the back of the pack or what happens. But it is an outdoor sport. There are always going to be variables, and there are things that you can't control. So you really can't worry about it as an athlete because it's beyond what you can do. It's really you and the clock on the track every single run. And if you start worrying about other athletes, weather, things beyond your control, you're worrying about things that are taking away from your performance each and every race.
Well, you're going to come up on the ice and find it completely different every run. So how do you adapt?
Well, just her exit of 3 there, for instance, you saw her hit before the entrance of 4, and that's what you have to do, is you have to adapt in a nanosecond to everything that you're feeling. And you do have differences between runs as far as entrances, exits, everything else is concerned, and it is constantly monitoring. It's like the outside wheel spinning on an all-wheel drive car, monitoring itself 1,000 times a second or more. We don't necessarily have that capacity, but we're trying to do it as quick as possible.
I think you probably have more capacity than most four-wheel drive systems. We have a tie for the lead. Sarah Reid and Donna Crichton in the leaders' box. Next up, Marina Giordoni of Italy, 14th after the first heat. And of course, every slider that comes down now has a bigger advantage from the first round.
Maria might sound Italian, but she's actually a Swiss slider.
Yes, I say that every week. Absolutely right. Every week.
Throws you for a curveball.
One day, like everything else, one day I'll learn.
Bit high there at the exit of 4, having a small brush onto the entrance of 5.
She was 2800ths ahead of Sarah Reid from the first heat. She's got most of that still alive. Decent speed, 127 kilometers an hour.
She's going to be hard pressed, especially with this entrance to 11, to be able to maintain that energy that Sarah's got over at this point, but stayed off the entrance of 12, which is crucial.
The question now is how far behind will she drop?
It's not a matter of will she lose a spot, it's just how many. Ooh, wow. She loses a few.
That is the slowest of the second heat runs. There's Coach Nikki Gumberger, last season coaching Great Britain. This here with the Swiss program. Marina throws her head in her hand. She knows that was a horror.
You can see Sarah's got a device on her finger there. She's monitoring her heart rate and her oxygen intake at this point. And we're finding that at some of the higher altitudes, our ability to get oxygen into our lungs isn't as proficient, obviously, at lower altitudes and at sea level.
Well, that's a valid point, and we're over 7,000 feet above sea level here, so we are way up.
When you're warming up, you can really feel it. The lungs are burning more than when you're at, say, somewhere like Whistler, which is only a couple hundred feet above sea level.
Well, that was a disappointing second run for Switzerland's Marina Giordoni. Slips down the order to the bottom of the pile, and that means that she will be looking at a 20th place finish rather than 14th where she was after the first heat. So a little shrug of resignation. And how many more are now going to fall to our leaders? This is Germany's Kathleen Lorenz, World Cup rookie season.
Here's your first real threat, I believe, to both Donna and Sarah for losing their spot in the leaders box. But Kathleen is a fantastic driver. Is not going to be able to approach Sarah and Donna on the start, but she does have a lead in the bank, and she is a great driver.
Kind of an old-style slider, long, rangy frame, not speedy leg turner.
No, and you know what? Sometimes you can give up a little bit at the start, but as we go on, as things progress in this sport, it becomes absolutely imperative that you maintain every possible advantage you can get at the top. And she's already lost a bit of her time to these two athletes in the leaders box right now. She's going to be struggling to maintain her spot. 128.7 for speed, though. That is quick. She's pulling away again. That deficit we saw at the top was simply because of the start difference between the athletes. And Kathleen will hold her position if she doesn't get topsy-turvy at the bottom.
Nice neat lines, 1500ths of a second advantage at the moment.
Great use of the wall there. You saw that she's got some seasoned ability there. When she knew she was approaching that wall and hit it, you could see her absorb that energy instead of getting squirrely and getting crazy trying to move away from it. She just absorbed the energy, took the hit, and kept her runner straight.
You see, now to any sane person, that's counterintuitive as well. I'm going to hit this wall. Ooh, I won't flinch out of the way. I'll lean into it and absorb the impact.
That's what takes a little while to get your brain wrapped around in this sport, is what the pressures mean, what the oscillations in the corner represent, and what you've got to do to be able to counteract and counterbalance some of these things that are happening to you on the track.
Well, you don't get into the German World Cup squad without knowing what you're about. She clearly has the ability.
No, the depth of their program is probably only equaled by one other nation in the world, and I would say that would probably be my own. There is some great depth both within Germany and within Canada, and it's something that I think the countries are proud of, but it makes it tough on the athletes to maintain your spot. But it definitely keeps the old dogs like me pushing hard each and every week to try and stay out of the reach of these young pups that are coming up behind us.
Just outside the top 10 in the first heat, Janina Flock of Austria, exactly tied to the 100th of a second with Lucy Schaffer of Australia, and they will both be trying to beat this girl. Kathleen Lorenz of Germany, our race leader. Janina, great fast starter as well, 5.08. 5.07, little quicker.
There.
Yeah, every 100th counts.
Great entrance to 2. Looking like she's going well into 3. Stay off that right-hand wall into 4. Smooth through there. Late into 5, though. She's going to be struggling to come back early to 6. You can see her tapping her toe, trying to get back early to 6. Great navigation of that corner, though. Stayed off the entrance to 7. She's maintaining her speed and trajectory through the labyrinth here. Small skid coming into 11.
Well, she learned her sport at Eagles in Austria, which is a fairly similar track, isn't it, where quiet driving is really key.
It is. You don't achieve the same speeds at Eagles. Oh, no, and definitely scrubbing time. She's going to lose to the German slider at this point. You saw her. She was only 800ths back, and that bump and skid through corners 14 to 15 in that uphill portion put her another 1100ths back behind Kathleen Lorenz.
She slips into second place with still 11 sleds to come.
She'll be happy with that. You only drop one spot. If you come across and see a 2, it's not as bad as seeing a 6 when you really fall.
Well, she struggled a little for pace at the top of the track. She was a few kilometers an hour away from the fastest, but found it lower down, perversely.
She did, and that was all through, I think, the navigation of 11 there. I thought she might have been steering a little bit hard, but that could have been just her helmet dragging. And when you are leaning over the front edge of your sled, your neck strength really dictates how you keep your melon off of the ice. And it's not honestly your neck strength so much as it is your traps. You utilize the muscles in your back to keep your head up off the ice. And if you can't recruit those muscles, a lot of the athletes, like myself, struggle to keep our lids from scraping along the ice.
Lucy Schaffer of Australia led after the first heat of the World Cup season last weekend in Lake Placid. Again, busting out some really quick starts. Let's see if she can produce a little bit more at the start here. 5.16 in the first heat. We're finding another 10th somewhere during the summer.
100 slower.
Yeah.
Well, a little bit early to corner 2 there. You'll see her get a double wave and maybe late to 3. And that's exactly what happened. If you get too early into corner 2, it'll push you low and you'll have a small second wave. And that kind of energy loss is really detrimental to your downtime because you cannot find that speed at the bottom of the track if you lose it at the top. 1:28.7, boy, she's really clipping along.
Yes, she is. That's great speed. That's as quick as anybody we've seen. She's in a tiny group of athletes, 5 sleds covered by under 800ths of a second. So this is up or down, snakes and ladders.
Ooh, good entrance at 12. That 800ths might be enough if she can stay off the wall here. It looks like she's got a good clean exit at 14. She will maintain that trajectory and that energy. Come across in the lead.
Wow, that's a decent slide. She really picked it up. 50.85, second fastest slide in the competition. So again, we talk about the consistency in this sport. It's not about one good run. You've got to have 2 good runs to feature strongly.
You do, and I think Sarah Reed still might have the fastest second descent, does she not?
Yes, she does.
And so she is going to be real choked, knowing that she had it within her to be ultra competitive today. But that first run was just a bit of a nightmare.
Well, for the days where it all works together perfectly, John, there's got to be some days where it just is a little off.
Indeed, and you can see Lucy's not going to be pleased with that. Coming over that negative G area, that riser between corners 10 and 11, she got a little bit squirrely into that left-hand wall and set her up for a not ideal entrance to corner 11.
Lucy Chaffer leads the competition. We have 10 sleds still to come here in Park City, Utah. John Montgomery, Martin Haven bringing you all the action live from the 2010 Olympic venue. There is the leaderboard with 10 sleds gone. We have 10 still to go in Viessmann World Cup number 2 here in Park City.
Reminders, please no flash photography. These sliders are very focused. You don't want to distract them, temporarily blind them. Please refrain from throwing snowballs. For your safety as well as that of the sliders, please never enter the track surface. Stay clear of the loading docks, finish dock areas. And of course, do not stick your head or climb on the fencing, through the fencing, around the fencing, or any of the shades. Thank you very much.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We're halfway to completion of run number 2, the final run for stop number 2 here at the Utah Olympic Park. Next stop for the 2012-2013 season will be up at the site for the last Winter Olympic Games. The 21st Winter Olympic Games up in Whistler. Whistler, an extremely fast and challenging track. Following Whistler, will be off to Winterberg, Germany, then LeBlanc, then Altenburg. Very technical and fast track as well.
So we're talking backwards and forwards. So where have we got? So Kathleen Arentz, Janina Flock.
Yep.
Okay. Right. Who's going to make ground up in this next one?
Ooh,
Gee,
I don't know. It is a tight field there.
We'll wrap up the 2012-2013 and 2014.
Right. Will Steve will ride this and try and listen in. That's coming close like this.
Oh, yeah, I know. Whew.
Yeah, please, Steve.
Drama. He's done the same.
Welcome back to Park City, Utah. Viessmann World Cup number 2 in the men's skeleton competition, and already they're starting to muster at the top, getting ready for bobsleigh racing later today. There is Lucy Chaffer, our race leader, by 0.05 of a second from Kathleen Lawrence of Germany, and she was one of 4 sleds covered by 0.01 of a second in the first heat. John Montgomery, the Olympic champion, this is insanely close.
Oh, this is tight. This is one of the most exciting tracks to watch, the leapfrogging on the second run, due to the fact that it is such a tight field because of the perhaps gliding nature of this very track. It's not really technical, and you can see Catherine Eustace stitching things together quite nicely here at the top of the track.
Catherine, really impressive athletic performance, a 5.02 getaway. She was tied for 9th, 100th ahead of a 2-sled tie for 11th. So anything you can do here makes a difference.
Big time. And she's about a K back on the speeds there at the midway point. And if she can have a good entrance to 12, which she just did there, she should be able to maintain some of this energy she's got. Oh, she's 100 behind. Late entrance to 14 is definitely going to cost her. If she brushes that left wall, definitely going backwards now.
Blink of an eye, and suddenly it's all come unraveled. Top half of the track was really good. You see her shaking her head across the line. And she's posted only the 9th fastest run in the heat. She's dropped 6 spots.
Oh, she must have had something that we didn't see on the cameras. She might have broken loose within a corner, and that is death on a stick. When you break loose inside a corner where everybody else is maintaining traction and trajectory, you slightly break loose and lose so much momentum. And sometimes we don't see everything.
Well, she found a little extra at the start. Top looked golden.
Had a really great start. Loads onto her sled here quite nicely. And then you're going to see a little bit of toe tapping coming along the top of the portion of the track here. She's dragging her toe because she's coming what she feels is too early into the first curve. She wants to tilt her sled slightly to the left to be able to get the trajectory, again with the toe dragging. You see she does slight, tiny corrections with her toes. Other athletes will inject their knees. You watch some of the most proficient sliders in the world, like Martins Dukers, he will rarely ever touch a toe to the ice. He can do it with a shoulder and a knee. And they tell you when you first begin, if you're feeling slightly unstable, tap a toe. But as you get along, that's something that you want to, I think, take out of your steering arsenal, because it does definitely slow you down a little bit more than some of the more subtle steers. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Disastrous start for Kimber Gabrielczak. Went wrong at the moment she launched off the blocks.
And you saw her think about stopping, because the timing eye at the start is not directly as soon as you leave the block. It is probably, I would say, 5 meters beyond the block. So sometimes if you have a misstep like that, you can come back, regroup. But this has totally thrown her for a loop, and the top of her track is not good at all. She was early to 5 there, and she's already way behind. She has no chance of getting back into this race.
Well, she lost all the momentum she had launching out of the blocks, and in hindsight, she'll be kicking herself thinking, I should have just gone back, reset, and got again.
But she had tremendous speed at that midway point there. 128 was fantastic comparative to the field.
Hometown girl from Park City, Utah. She lives a 7-minute drive from the bottom of the track. You could not live any closer.
Not at all. And she stopped the bleeding quite quickly with some good driving and some good lines, but that error at the top just totally scratched that run for her.
Well, as well as the lost speed, of course, it's the total explosion of any focus you had, just gone.
And at the top of the track, like we mentioned before, she's just shocked. She's dumbfounded.
Yeah.
She can't believe that actually just happened to her. But you have to be so subtle, so quiet. And when your mind is at the start, as you load onto your sled, and she can't help but be thinking about the fact that her...
Was 6 bad too?
Yeah, let's get it again. Yeah.
Talking with her coach, Zach Lund there, who is a fellow American and I believe at one point a World Cup title. She lost control of her sled off the saddle there. Thought about stopping, re-grabs it, and then takes off again. But all momentum, all energy is gone and lost. And she's got a deficiency of at least 5 steps there that every other athlete has taken advantage of.
Really tough break. And on your home track, her husband is here. I'm sure the rest of the family are around as well. You know, if you didn't laugh, you'd cry, wouldn't you?
Well, at least her husband knows what's going on. He's a skeleton athlete himself, and at least he's got empathy and actually understands the variables in the sport instead of going, what happened to you, wifey?
Yeah, because that plays always well.
Yeah.
Melissa Hollingsworth of Canada, slightly disappointed 8th place, but a 10th of a second could bring her up within sight of the podium.
And Mel knows exactly what she did wrong in her first run. She's got the experience, the tools, and the ability to make those corrections. And a beautiful entrance to 2. She's got the top of this track dialed right now. Let's see how she comes into 5 here, next crucial juncture.
Well, it seemed to be the early corners, John, in the first heat that really cost her.
It was, and she was too early to 6 there, but had a much better exit of 6 into 7. She hit there before, carrying that speed through here. Let's see if she can maintain this energy. Great line in through 11. So if she can stay off the entry of 12, she should be able to keep that. Down to 0.10 of a second. It's going to be touch and go here. See how her exit of 14 is. If she can stay off that right wall, she should have this. Even with 600s in the bank, she should have it coming up to the finish line. 3.
Oh, well read. Lucy Chaffer is deposed from the leader's box. And in goes Melissa Hollingsworth of Canada.
The track may actually be slowing down a little bit here as the sun comes out and heats up this ice. It isn't going to get any faster. There's only one track in the world that gets quicker as the day goes along, and that's the natural track in St. Moritz, Switzerland. All these artificial tracks slow down as the sun comes out and heats up and melts the ice.
St. Moritz, of course, the venue for the World Championships at the end, or towards the end of this season. So it is the Monaco Grand Prix, the Indy 500. It is the place that everybody loves to go to slide, but Mel pulled a little bit more out here.
She did indeed. You know, she had really great lines, and some of it might have been due to oversteering because she didn't look to make any mistakes anywhere. She had great straightaways, wasn't skidding, wasn't having problems off the exits, but within the corners, she might have been doing just a little bit too much. Needed to let it run just a touch more.
Here is Anja Huber of Germany. We have 7 sliders remaining, and 2 of the 3 German athletes are looking for a podium position. Well, there is Melissa Hollingsworth, the current leader.
Oh, that is awesome.
A bit of a jump forward now. Anja Huber almost a 10th of a second quicker in the first heat.
She'll have 900s to play with here in the bank right now, plus what she is able to make up over Melissa on the start, which will probably be another 6 or 700, so she'll probably have 1500s here as soon as she gets to the first time again. 2000s.
Wow, 5:01 getaway. That's a big bonus for her.
A little bit early to corner 2 and subsequently late to 3, but she looks like she's regained it here. And a nice entrance to 4. Already great speeds.
Again, that recalibration you talk about will have happened. She got to the first steer and it didn't work the way that it had in the first heat, so now she knows what to do.
Making subtle adjustments, and her experience on the track allows her to do that with a high degree of accuracy.
Equal fastest top speed, 80 miles an hour by corner 6.
Beautiful exit of 11 into 12, and she's going to be pulling away from the field here right now. And I suspect that this should be good, almost for a podium shot.
Yeah, this is her shot at a medal. She is streaking away from Melissa Hollingsworth. 900ths faster than Mel in the first heat. She's now half a second up after the second heat.
You cross the finish line when you stitch together a run like that, and you say to yourself, boom, I did it. And she is happy with that. She knows that she's got a chance at a medal here right now.
A 50.55 slide would have seen her third in the first heat.
Looks like she knows somebody. Either that, or she's giving a lot of love to strangers.
She's a bit ho-hum with that. I think she's a bit under-inspired.
I think somebody just surprised her and flew over from Germany to surprise her here because her coach said, hey, look.
I think you're absolutely right. Great start from her as well. Pull out another 500ths of a second then, and insanely fast.
Top speeds. Top speeds, you know, it's a tight track there. You see 3 athletes with identical speeds, but what she probably had that they didn't was higher velocity at the start and perhaps a little bit more maintenance of energy through some of the more difficult sections of the track.
So our leader, Anja Huber, has thrown down the gauntlet. 5 sleds remain. Maria Orlova of Russia was 100th quicker than Anja in the first heat. She's going to do well to stay in front and take the lead here.
And Maria just saw what Anja threw down. And standing on that start line, it's always difficult to see somebody throw down a wicked time at the top. And know that you have to now compete with that. And it definitely weighs on your mind. And what separates the great athletes from the ho-hum ones are those who are able to put that out of your mind. Focus on what you can control and go and execute your game plan. And it looks like she's struggling here a little bit already.
700s behind this early on in the run is not sending the right signals. 128.5 is very good speed. Second only to Anja Huber.
Just off the speed set by Anja Huber. Oh, and there's the drama that can happen with corner 11.
And that's all she wrote.
Indeed. Game over, mail it in because it ain't happening anymore.
Now it's time to concentrate on Whistler. Wow, look at this yawning chasm that's opening up. 1.2, yeah. Absolutely what everybody's thinking. Anja Huber's face shows you there.
Indeed, and when you're walking that tightrope between being just in control and just out of control, which is where you find the speed, you sometimes go over the line and you end up out of control. As you saw her exit corner 11, catching air at the end of the track there. The corner was done, and her ascent was not. So what happens? Airtime, baby. Watch her. They'll show it in replay here. Coming down the straightaway from 10 to 11, she gets a bit squirrely, pointed up into the corner. You'll see her go low, high, way low, and way high. Boom Diago. That is not an ideal line. And then skidding through 12. Coach Willie Schneider knows that it's game over at that point.
Yep. Ugly. And, you know, she just had to try a little more to stay in front of Anja Huber. And Marianne Thies, Anja Huber's teammate, is going to have to try and produce exactly the same. Huber has definitely thrown down the gauntlet in a big way. She leads the race with just 5 sleds remaining.
And that's all the mental aspect, what you saw Maria do there. It was just a slight brain fart, perhaps, on her part, which didn't allow her to navigate that corner exactly as she would like to. And she knew the pressure was on to perform. Marion Trott here, on the other hand, she is no beginner. She's a solid vet, really calm, and you'll see her, I suspect, have a fantastic run here.
She started 5.25, 5.29. She's giving away over a quarter of a second to Anja Huber.
That will continue to grow. Her deficit will grow probably up to about corner 6, at which point she will stop the bleeding, 84 kilometers an hour. Great speeds. Growing to 4/10 of a deficit, and now she'll stop the bleeding. She won't have enough track to be able to earn that all back. 129.3, ahead of the field by a substantial margin. See, she's down to 3/10, and the track simply won't be long enough for her. but she should maintain a second ranking.
This is a sport in which anything can happen, and being second doesn't necessarily exclude you from the medals, even with 4 to go. Second place she is, 50.85 slide, 0.2 of a second slower than her first heat, whereas Anya Huber came down 1100s quicker than her first heat.
Coming into Sochi, an athlete like Anya Huber isn't maybe going to be as likely to succeed as her teammate here, Marion Thies, who's a deadly driver with 3 uphill portions in the Sochi track. A weightier athlete is going to have a better opportunity, especially a weightier athlete who's got the technical finesse that you see Marion Thies navigate the tracks with, because going into an uphill section in a track, it is absolutely 100% crucial that you maintain your runner trueness and your runners being parallel. Any type of a skid through an uphill portion is lights out, and there's 3 of them in Sochi to slow the track down.
Yeah, you're going to feel like you're throwing on the brakes if you get it wrong. So it is Germany 1-2 at the moment. Marion Thies behind her teammate Anya Huber. 4 to go, and we could yet find no Germans on the podium. Big opportunity here for Cassie Horesh of Canada. Top Canadian slider in the first heat. It's a great enough first heat. Let's see what she can produce in the second.
See how she handles the stress of a solid second run in her rookie season on the World Cup Tour. She's got to be feeling the stress, and I think an athlete like Cassie has it within her because she's competed and prevailed before on the lower circuits. And if she can bring that to the World Cup here with her, she'll have a chance to do well here. She's not doing exactly as what she would like. Oh, just touching the corner there before the entrance of 4. But she's got good speed there, 84.4.
Just 200s away from the lead of the race. She's got a great opportunity here.
See what her speeds are here. 129, that is great. Faster than Anya through this portion. She's got 200s in the bank now. If she can hang on to this trajectory, this momentum, she will hold her spot. Oh, but a hit before 12. Anya did not do that. She might lose some time here.
100th of a second behind. Has she got enough speed to get to the line? 122 and change. Oh, big skid. Not enough.
Not enough. She will fall back. But only one spot.
Wow, good call, 50.69. Huber edges closer to the medal, and it is definitely not yet over from Cassie Horesh. Trying to get 2 consistent runs, that is the alchemy of skeleton. And do you know what? The pressure didn't get to her.
Nope.
She started 5:12 first heat, blitzed a 5:08 second start.
That's real impressive. That's a step up on the push. You know that the adrenaline's pumping there, probably helped her out, and that's an Olympic qualifier for her. She needs 4 top 6 finishes within the next, I guess, year and a bit, and that will definitely be one in her quiver.
And look at those speeds, 129 kilometers an hour. That is north of 80 miles an hour, head first on sheet ice.
Coming out of corner 11, a little bit high, hitting before the entrance of 12. Definitely sends her low and a little bit loopy through 12, but she maintains her form, doesn't panic, and keeps it all together.
Well, that's kind of like the chicane in Lake Placid, isn't it? It's key to the bottom of the track, that corner 12. Let's take a look now as we get into the top 3. Shelley Rudman of Great Britain. Rudman, 1100ths of a second, first heat advantage over Anya Huber of Germany, the current leader.
Dives onto that new Bromley sled that both her and Kristen are sporting this year. Nice entrance to 2.
All of her first round advantage disappeared with the start. 5:01 for Huber,
84.6. That's great speed at the top of the track. That might be the fastest we've seen so far.
300s back. She now has to drive herself into the lead.
128.7, exact tie. There's 4 girls now with identical speeds. 300s deficit. She can stay off the entrance of corner 12 here. Oh, just a bit of a bump. She might be able to make up that speed. Ooh, falling further back to Shelley, or excuse me, to Anya.
It's going to be tough. A good straight here is required, and she doesn't get it.
She may drop more than one spot.
Yep, she'll be out of the medals by the end of this run.
She did.
Well, Anya Huber is in the medals. And after a disappointing start, only 1 German medal from every piece of track action in Lake Placid last weekend. And Anya Huber is now going to put herself in the medals. Disappointing run for Shelley Rudman. Only the 8th fastest heat. 8th fastest run in this heat. She drops to 3rd spot.
Cassie standing there at the finish dock going, can I get into the medals now? She's got one more spot away from a bronze medal.
Well, just occasionally, John, you need somebody else to make a mistake, but then, you know, sometimes you give them the errors.
You don't wish for anybody to fail, but secretly, inside, you sometimes harbor the desire that they maybe don't do their best.
Yeah. Well, you saw that big leg sticking out from Shelley Rudman. And there is her teammate, the race leader, Lizzie Arnold, will go last. One yet to go, and that is Katie Eulander.
Come on, Katie, let's go.
And then the race leader.
Yep. Katie again possessing a good start. 5:09 first heat. Can she shave 100th even off that? 5:07 all helps.
Indeed, every little bit.
Down that 50-meter ramp.
Well, this is, you know, this is alchemy. This is the essential combination of every single factor having to be perfect.
And when you can put it all together, that's when you get top results. And if one little aspect is missing, you fall behind. She's growing her lead. 129.4. Great speed for Katie.
Yes, it is. She controlled 6 well, too. She's picking up speed.
Decent straightaway there. She's definitely going to hold her spot here with that entrance at 12. If she can stay on the shiny bits down the rest of the track, you'll have a new race leader here.
2200s up, quarter of a second up, 122.6. That is the fastest speed we've seen at the bottom. 50.45 slide, just
Beautiful.
300ths of a second away from her first. That is great consistency.
That is indeed. And Lizzie Arnold is now going to have the pressure on her. She doesn't have the experience that Katie Eulander has here. This is not her home track either. And definitely, Katie just threw down the gauntlet and put the pressure on Lizzie.
Well, again, the body language tells you everything. She is stoked with that run.
Coming over this negative rise here, you can see that she does a really good job of keeping those runners parallel. Slightly skiddy, but not overreacting. Just a couple small toe touches, and she's got a little different form. She slides with those feet apart a little bit, and it gives her some good balance on the back end of that sled there.
Well, is that a factor of her height, do you think? She's a little short and needs to get those knees working a bit more, maybe?
No, it's nothing a factor of body type. It's just simply preference. And to be honest with you, when you go into a wind tunnel, everybody's body type is different. Some people, creating a small gap between their feet provides for better airflow through the feet. Other athletes do better with having their feet together. And it's simply a function of the way the rest of your body is shaped.
4 World Cup races last year, 2 gold medals for rookie Lizzie Arnold. She leads the race here and she's not hanging around, getting underway. The Blackrock sled and the young girl from Kent. What can she do to take the gold medal here? A 4:99 start. That is a fantastic getaway from her.
Absolutely. 2 tenths in the bank at the start. Now it's all about maintaining that energy and keeping that lead. 84.8. She's got the speed at the top. Great line down into 6. She's grown it by 100th. Minimal work through 6 and did not hit before 7, which tells me that she's going to be quick through here too. 128.2, a little bit slower.
Yeah.
Only 1300ths in the bank here.
Well, you talked about the experience that Katie Eulander has to bring to bear.
It's going to be tight. 700ths. Oh, and with an entrance like that into 14, struggling to get over, I don't believe she's got it within her to keep it. 300ths brushing that wall. This is going to be Katie Eulander's race or a dead heat.
Oh, 100 a second. Wow. Katie Eulander takes victory by the narrowest possible margin. Lizzie Arnold in 2nd place in her first race here in Park City, Utah.
1/100th of a second. She is going to be lying in bed tonight going, I could have gained 100th of a second anywhere on that track. It could have been as little as a blink, a toe touch. 100th is quicker. Then you blink your eyes right now, everybody at home, blink your eyes.
Yeah.
That was a 10th of a second. 100th is just a finite amount of time. It's unbelievable that it comes down to that in a skeleton race.
Well, look how disappointed she doesn't look. She knows she had 2 really good runs. And, you know, first time here in Park City, she walks away with a silver medal.
Sometimes the 100th is on your side, and other days it's on the other person's time clock. And so tomorrow, she might have the chance to get that 100th.
Well, Katie Eulander takes the gold medal. And carrying her dad's baseball card. Used to be in her helmet, now it's inside in her sled.
And it's around her necklace. That's his ring, and it looks like it just about took her out there. That's a heavy brute to jump up and down with.
Yes, it is. Well, great.
Mom, where are you?
She's somewhere leaping up and down excitedly.
Indeed. And she had a brutal first run last weekend in Lake Placid and really came back strong with her 2 subsequent runs and really moved up the rankings. She's only had 1 bad run this year, and a victory for Katie Ulander today, showing her prowess at the start and smooth lines to the bottom of the track.
John, we talk about confidence, and there's no question she has got that in spades to just discard that Lake Placid weekend and come out here fighting.
Yeah, it's just one simple run, and she knows. She's done it countless times. She's a World Cup champion, an overall champion, and she can slide confidently. And Katie's one of those athletes that can really let it go and slide brave. I mean, she's Looney Tunes sometimes. She likes to take risks, and that's what it takes to be a successful skeleton athlete.
Well, if you didn't like to take risks, you wouldn't be going head first down an ice track. Katie Ulander claims World Cup #2 of the season by 100th of a second from Lizzie Yarnold. Anya Huber raced up from, 7th place to 3rd to claim the medal, just 600ths ahead of Cassie Haresh, the rookie from Canada. Shelley Rudman and Marion Thies tied for 5th position ahead of Melissa Hollingsworth. Well, we expected a lot of changes. There were a lot of changes. And as always, Skeleton brought us high drama here in Park City.
So we have the Utah Department of Baseball spectators came out today. So the women's skeleton race just concluded. We will also have the men's 2-man bobsled race. Also the women's bobsled race today. Bobsled racing will continue at 1 p.m. today. So might be a good opportunity to go take a tour of the park, check out the race facilities here. Hey, guys, like to eat and make your way back over to the track. 1 o'clock. Exciting bobsled World Cup racing action.
Welcome back to sunny Park City, Utah. Second stop on the FIBT Wiesmann World Cup Tour as we complete our 3-week North American tour next weekend in Whistler. Katie Ulander, our gold medalist here now, takes the lead of the World Cup rankings from Marion Thies and Melissa Hollingsworth. Last weekend's winner, Sarah Reed, still in the top 5, just 40 points away from the lead. So 2 races into our 9-race World Cup season, and we have our second different winner. Tim Singer is down on the deck. Let's catch up with our top 3.
All right, thanks very much, Martin. And in 3rd place today, a big move up in the standings for the Bavarian, Anya Huber. Anya, what were you thinking as each sled came behind you?
It was a great feeling, but it was a really great race. Close together, all the girls, they were all sliding really well today. It was a lot of fun, but now I'm happy that I'm on the 3rd place.
Great job. Always does well on this track. Now, Lizzie Yarnold in 2nd place. And Lizzie, Lake Placid, probably a race you'd like to forget, but a great showing here.
No, I was really pleased with my race in Lake Placid, actually. It's all about learning and improving every race. So to come 2nd today from 9th last week is fantastic. Every track's very different, and it was a great race. Well done to Katie, excellent winner. So, no, always pleased with my performance.
And well done to you as well. And the victor here for the United States, Katie Ulander. Katie, 2012 world champion, your expectations going into this season and into this race?
Well, I'm always here to win. The field is extremely tough, though, so I think everyone comes to the line hoping to take away a medal, and you never know who it's going to be. for me, finishing an Olympic year with weightlifting, it was pretty tough, but I feel like I'm in pretty good shape. I'm going to get better, and I'm looking forward to Whistler.
A former Major League Baseball player of special note to you. You carried him with you on the sled. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, winning world championships in Placid was kind of a symbol for me, because that's where it all went to crap for me, basically, when my father was diagnosed with cancer and then passed away. I won a medal here the day he died, so again, winning after that, and like I just feel closer with him and having him on my sled, and I'm sliding with his ring now, so
his World Series ring.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep the legacy alive. I want to give a shout out to the Giants too. My dad was working for them, so Brian Sabian, world champions.
And for those who don't know, Katie's father was Major League Baseball player Ted Eulander. She's the winner today, Katie Eulander, Lizzie Arnold, or Yarno rather, and Anya Huber are medalists here.
Well, congratulations to all three. Thanks to Tim Singer and for the rest of the production crew. John, we're going to expect us up and down a men's race, do you think?
Well, you see men wandering around the track, sort of looking a little lost, thinking about lines, watching the girls prevail today, and they're going to be picturing in their mind's eye what these three just did there. A victory, smooth lines, good starts, and ready to get her done tomorrow.
Do you know, it sounds so straightforward. What about next week? We head back to Canada. Great news for the Canadian athletes. The money's the right colour, the food tastes better,
Indeed.
and the air is sweeter as well. What about Whistler?
Well, Whistler, for the Canadian athletes, is a really fun place. We love going there. It's one of our home tracks, and the beer is always sweeter. I might have to put a nipple on my bottle and nurse it a little bit, but that said, we're going to be going there knowing that we've got an opportunity to earn some of our Olympic qualifiers.
That's it for World Cup number 2 from the women's skeleton. My thanks to John Montgomery for great words of wisdom. He will be racing tomorrow in the men's skeleton competition, but we are far from done here in Park City. We've got 2-man and women's bobsleigh still on the program today. Join us for all the action here in Park City, Utah.
Looks like